Captain June Park stood at the wide window of the Daybreak's bridge, looking out at the strange purple glow of the Vesper Nebula. The stars seemed small and far away from here, tiny dots of light in a sea of darkness. He rubbed his tired eyes. 3 weeks in deep space had left the entire crew on edge. "Captain, we're getting a signal," called out the communications officer. "It's broken up, but it's definitely coming from Helios 9. June moved quickly to the main console. "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was filled with static, but the fear in it was clear. Under attack. They came from the shadows. Never seen anything like. Need immediate assistance. The message cut off with a scream that made everyone on the bridge freeze. "How far are we from Helios 9? June asked, his voice steady despite the chill that ran down his spine. 2 hours at maximum speed, sir," replied the navigator. "Take us. There. Now." June pressed a button on his chair. "Lieutenant Kim, Dr. Sung, Security Chief Du Young, and Engineer Lee, report to the briefing room immediately." 10 minutes later, June faced his elite team around the small metal table in the briefing room. The holographic display in the center showed the mining outpost on Helios 9, a collection of domed buildings on the rocky surface of the small planetoid. "The Korean Mining Corporation set up this outpost 6 months ago," June explained. 35 workers, mostly miners and engineers. They've been sending back regular reports until 3 days ago. Then silence, until this distress call. Lieutenant Hana Kim leaned forward, her sharp eyes studying the layout of the outpost. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, not a strand out of place despite being called from her quarters. "What kind of defenses do they have?" she asked. "Standard security protocols. Nothing designed for a serious attack," June replied. They weren't expecting trouble this far out. Dr. Tae Sung adjusted his glasses, the light from the hologram reflecting off them. "Did they describe what attacked them?" "The message mentioned shadows." "That's all we know," said June. "That's why I want you with us, Doctor. If we're dealing with a new species, we need your expertise." Security Chief Du Young crossed his muscular arms. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were alert and focused. "My team can be ready in 30 minutes. Full combat gear." "Make it 20, June said. "Engineer Lee, what about the outpost?" "Systems." Jay Lee, the youngest of the group, pulled up additional data on his tablet. "Life support is still functioning, but security systems are offline. Something or someone shut them down deliberately." June nodded, taking in all the information. "We go in quiet, find survivors, and get them out. If whatever attacked them is still there, we avoid engagement if possible." "And if not possible?" asked Du Young. June's face hardened. "Then we show them that humans don't go down without a fight." The Daybreak approached Helios 9 with caution. The small planetoid hung in, space like a gray marble, half in light from the distant sun, half in shadow. The mining outpost was located near the dividing line between day and night, taking advantage of both solar power and the cooler temperatures of the shadow side for certain mining operations. "No response to our hails," reported the communications officer. "No ships in orbit or nearby," added Lieutenant Kim from her tactical station. June studied the outpost through the ship's cameras. Everything looked intact from the outside. No signs of bombardment or explosive damage. Whatever had happened, it hadn't been a conventional attack. "Take us down," he ordered. The landing party consisted of June, his 4 senior officers, and a squad of 6 security personnel. They stepped out of the shuttle into the eerie silence of the outpost's main landing pad. The air felt wrong somehow, colder than it should be even for the shadow side of the planetoid. "Lights," ordered Du Young, and the team activated their shoulder lamps cutting through the gloom. The main airlock was open, which was the first bad sign. Inside, the corridors were dark, with only emergency lighting providing a dim red glow. Their footsteps echoed on the metal floors as they moved deeper into the facility. "Life signs?" June asked. Dr. Sung checked his scanner. Faint readings coming from the central hub. Several human signatures, but they're weak. They moved carefully toward the hub, security personnel taking point with weapons ready. The walls of the corridor showed strange marks like deep scratches made by something with enormous strength. "Look at this," called Engineer Lee, examining a control panel. The power hasn't failed. It's been deliberately redirected away from the lighting systems. Whatever attacked them wanted darkness, murmured Lieutenant Kim. When they reached the central hub, they found the survivors, 7 miners huddled in a small storage room, the only space they had managed to fully light with portable lamps placed in a circle around them. "Thank God," sobbed one woman as the team entered. "We thought you were them coming back." While Dr. Sung and the medical officer tended to the survivors, June knelt beside the woman who had spoken. Her name tag identified her as Min Sun, Operations Supervisor. "What happened here, Supervisor Min?" he asked gently. Her eyes were wide with remembered terror. "They came 3 days ago. We didn't see a ship. They were just suddenly here. Tall, thin creatures that seemed to step out of the shadows themselves. Their eyes..." She shuddered. "Their eyes glowed in the dark, and if you looked into them, you couldn't move." "How many were there?" asked Du Young. "Dozens, maybe more. They moved so fast. They took half our people in the first attack. We tried to fight back with mining tools, whatever we could find. They retreated when we turned on all the lights, but then they cut the power to most of the outpost. We've been trapped here, keeping the portable lights on in shifts." Lieutenant Kim was examining the room's only computer terminal. "Sir, you need to see this," she called. On the screen was a recording from a security camera. It showed a dark corridor where a shadowy figure suddenly appeared. It was at least 7 feet tall with a skeletal body and long limbs. Its skin absorbed light rather than reflected it, making it appear as a moving hole in reality. Only its eyes were visible, glowing with an unnatural blue-white light. "We managed to kill one," said Supervisor Min. "It was horrible. Its blood was like black oil and it dissolved anything it touched. But before it died, it spoke, in perfect Korean." "What did it say?" asked June. "It said, 'The darkness belongs to us. Return to your light.'" Engineer Lee, who had been checking the outpost systems, suddenly called out, "Captain, you need to see this." They moved to the main window of the hub. Outside, in what should have been empty space, dark shapes were moving against the stars. Ships, dozens of them, with the same light-absorbing quality as the creatures. "They're back," whispered Min Jun. "Made a quick decision. We're evacuating now, everyone to the shuttle, Du Young rear guard. Lee, download everything you can from their systems, 5 minutes, then we leave." As they hurried through the corridors, Dr. Sung moved beside June. "Captain, these creatures, they've evolved in darkness. Their physiology must be completely adapted to low-light conditions. That's why they attacked this outpost. Humans are expanding into what they consider their territory." "So they think we're invading?" asked June. "From their perspective, yes. We bring light to places that have been dark for millennia." As they reached the airlock, they found a message carved into the metal of the wall. Deep gouges formed words in the human alphabet. "The darkness belongs to us. Return to your light." "Everyone on board now," ordered June as the shuttle came into view. They had just gotten the last survivor on board when the shadows around the landing pad began to move. Creatures emerged from the darkness, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans. "Take off!" June shouted to the pilot as he fired his weapon at the nearest creature. The shot went straight through it, as if it wasn't fully solid. The shuttle lifted off, narrowly escaping grasping limbs that seemed to stretch impossibly upward. As they raced back to the daybreak, June saw the alien ships moving to intercept them. "They're blocking our escape route," reported Lieutenant Kim from the co-pilot's seat. June studied the pattern of the alien vessels. They were arranged in a half-circle, all on the shadow side of the planetoid. Not a single ship ventured into the light of the nearby sun. "They're avoiding the light," he realized. "Full burn toward the sun." The pilot pushed the engines to maximum, taking them on a course that skimmed the light side of Helios 9. The alien ships followed but kept to the shadows, unwilling to cross into direct sunlight. As the daybreak came into view, June looked back at the alien fleet. Their tactics, their biology, their warning, it all pointed to one thing. "They think we fear the dark," he told his team, a grim determination settling over him. "But they've never met humans before. We started in caves, hunting by firelight. and starlight. We mapped the deepest oceans and climbed the highest mountains. He watched as the alien ships retreated back to the shadow of Helios 9, unwilling to pursue them into the light. They think darkness gives them power over us, Junsu said quietly. Let's show them who should really be afraid. 3 months had passed since the attack on Helios 9. Captain June Park stood in the large meeting room of Earth Command headquarters, located deep inside the lunar base. The walls displayed images of destroyed outposts and the strange alien ships that had been sighted across the frontier. 12 attacks in the past 90 days, said Admiral Sun, a stern woman with gray streaks in her black hair. Always the same pattern. They emerge from darkness, strike quickly, and retreat before our ships can respond. Around the table sat representatives from various Earth nations. They looked tired and worried. This was a new kind of war, one they weren't prepared for. That's why we've formed Night Watch, continued Admiral Sun. A special task force dedicated to understanding and countering this threat. Captain Park, your team will lead this effort. June nodded, looking at his 4 core team members seated nearby. They had been through a lot together since Helios 9, and Earth Command had recognized their unique experience with the enemy. Tell them what you've discovered, Dr. Sung, June said. Dr. Tae-sung stood and activated the main screen. An image appeared of what looked like a tall, skeletal creature with skin that seemed to absorb light. We've named them the Nocturne, based on their nocturnal nature, Dr. Sung began. This specimen was recovered during the defense of Outpost 7. It didn't survive the capture, but it's given us valuable information. He zoomed in on the creature's tissue samples. Their skin contains a unique pigment that absorbs all visible light. This makes them nearly invisible in darkness. More importantly, their sensory organs can detect heat and electromagnetic radiation far beyond human capability. So they can see us, even when we can't see them, said one of the officials. Precisely, confirmed Dr. Sung. But there's more. Their biology is completely adapted to low-light environments. Bright light causes them physical pain and can damage their sensory organs. That's why they avoid direct sunlight or powerful artificial light. Lieutenant Hana Kim stepped forward next. We've analyzed their attack patterns, she said, pulling up a map of the frontier showing attack locations. They're not random. The Nocturnes strike at regular intervals, following what appears to be a ritual schedule. They always attack from shadow, using darkness not just as camouflage but as a psychological weapon. They want us to fear the dark, added June. It gives them a sense of power. Security Chief Du Young, who had been silent until now, spoke up. We've been training a specialized combat unit, teaching them to fight in near-total darkness, combining old Earth fighting techniques with new technology. What kind of technology? Asked Admiral Sun. Engineer Jay Lee smiled for the first time in the meeting. We've developed new sensory equipment based on the Nocturne's own biology. Night vision that doesn't require emitting light, which would give away our position, and weapons that function in complete darkness. But the most important development came from an unexpected source, said June, nodding to a civilian man who had been sitting quietly at the end of the table. The man stood up. My name is Ji-ho Baek, captain of the transport ship Morning Star. 3 weeks ago, my vessel was ambushed by a Nocturne patrol near the Arcturus sector. Captain Baek did something no one else had tried, explained June. Instead of running or fighting back, tell them what you did, Captain. I turned everything off, said Ji-ho simply. All external lights, engines, everything. We drifted silently through space, essentially hiding in darkness. The Nocturne ships passed right by us, as if they couldn't see us. This caused a stir around the table. Admiral Sun leaned forward. They couldn't detect your ship when it was powered down? It's not that they couldn't detect it, explained Dr. Sung. It's that they didn't register it as a threat. The Nocturne associate human presence with light. Without light or energy emissions, Captain Baek's ship didn't register as human to them. This gives us an advantage, said June, standing up and addressing the entire room. The Nocturne think they own the darkness. They believe we can only operate in light, but they've forgotten something important about humans. He walked to the main screen, which now showed Earth's history, cave paintings, ancient hunters with torches, sailors navigating by stars. We evolved in daylight, yes, but humans have always found ways to master the dark. From our earliest days, we've ventured into caves, sailed on moonless nights, and found ways to thrive where light doesn't reach. Darkness never stopped us, we just needed to adapt. Admiral Sun nodded slowly. What are you proposing, Captain Park? A new approach, replied June. Instead of running from the darkness or trying to push it back with light, we embrace it. We build ships that can operate in total darkness. We train soldiers to fight without relying on sight. We turn their greatest weapon, darkness, against them. You want to hunt in the dark, said Admiral Sun, understanding dawning on her face. Exactly, said June. They thought we feared the dark. Let's show them who should really be afraid. 2 months later, June stood in the observation deck of Earth's largest shipyard, watching as workers put the finishing touches on a new vessel. Unlike the bright white ships of Earth's regular fleet, this one was matte black, with unusual contours designed to absorb rather than reflect light. The Night Stalker, said Engineer Lee, pride evident in his voice. First of its kind, a ship designed to hunt in darkness. Lieutenant Kim joined them, reviewing the final specifications on her tablet. Engine emissions reduced by 95%. No external running lights. All viewports equipped with special filters. She'll be nearly invisible in space. What about weapons? Asked June. That's the best part, said Lee, pulling up the schematics. We've developed a targeting system that uses the same frequency of energy the Nocturne used to communicate. Our weapons will essentially be invisible to them until they fire. Dr. Sung approached with Security Chief Du Young. The crew's training is complete, said Du Young. 60 of Earth's best, all specially prepared for dark operations. And I've finished the sensory enhancements, added Dr. Sung. The ship can detect and identify Nocturne vessels at 3 times the range of our previous technology. June looked at his team, feeling a swell of pride. 3 months ago, they had barely escaped the Nocturne with their lives. Now they were preparing to take the fight to the enemy. Earth Command has approved our mission, he told them. We'll leave in 1 week. Our objective is to penetrate Nocturne territory, gather intelligence, and test our new capabilities. We're really going to hunt them, said Lieutenant Kim, her voice a mix of determination and disbelief. They've hunted us long enough, replied June. It's time they learned that humans are not easy prey. The Night Stalker slipped away from Earth's shipyards without ceremony. As they passed the moon, June gave the order he had been waiting to give. Power down all non-essential systems. Activate dark running mode. The ship's lights dimmed until the bridge was illuminated only by the soft glow of essential instruments. The engines shifted to a new configuration, their normal bright burn replaced by a barely visible heat signature. All systems in dark mode, Captain, reported Engineer Lee. We're running silent. June nodded, feeling the change in the ship around him. It felt right somehow, like putting on armor before battle. Set course for the Cygnus Rift, he ordered. That's where our intelligence suggests the main Nocturne fleet passes through. As the Night Stalker accelerated toward the distant stars, June thought about how far they had come. From running in fear from shadows to deliberately seeking them out. From victims to hunters. The Nocturne had made a serious mistake when they attacked humanity. They had assumed that because humans lived in the light, they feared the dark. They hadn't understood a fundamental truth about human nature. When faced with a new environment or challenge, humans didn't retreat. They adapted. They learned. And eventually they conquered. They thought we feared the dark, June said quietly to himself as the stars streaked past the viewports. Now let's teach them why the dark should fear us. The Night Stalker drifted silently through the emptiness of the Cygnus Rift. For 3 days the ship had remained powered down, running on minimal life support. The crew moved quietly through dimly lit corridors, their eyes now used to seeing. In near darkness, Captain June Park sat in his command chair watching the main screen. It showed nothing but stars and the vast blackness between them. But June knew they weren't alone. Contact, whispered Lieutenant Hana Kim from her station. 2 nocturne vessels approaching from Sector 4. Everyone remain still, ordered June. Let them pass. The crew held their breath as the alien ships moved closer. The nocturne vessels were long and thin, with spikes extending from their hulls. Their surface absorbed light, making them look like moving holes in space. If not for the Night Stalker's special sensors, they would have been almost impossible to see. The alien ships passed within 500 meters of the Night Stalker, but showed no signs of detecting the human vessel. "They can't see us," said Engineer J. Lee, his voice barely audible. "The dark running mode is working." Once the nocturne ships had moved a safe distance away, June gave a new order. "Follow them. Maintain dark running. Keep your distance." The Night Stalker began to move, its engines producing barely any visible emissions. Like a shadow following shadows, the human ship tracked the nocturne vessels through the emptiness of space. For 2 days, they followed the alien patrol. The nocturne ships moved in a pattern, checking specific areas before moving on. Finally, they headed toward a dense cloud of cosmic dust that the star maps identified as the Raven Nebula. "They're going home," said Dr. Tae-sung, studying the readings from his station. The dust cloud would hide a base or outpost from normal scans. "Take us in," ordered June, "but keep your distance. We don't want to alert them." The Night Stalker followed the nocturne ships into the dust cloud. Visibility dropped to 0 as particles surrounded the vessel. Only their special sensors allowed them to track the alien ships ahead. "Captain," called out Dr. Sung suddenly, "I'm picking up something strange. Energy readings unlike anything I've seen from the Nocturne before." "On screen," said June. The main screen switched to sensor mode, showing a massive structure hidden within the dust cloud. It wasn't a ship or a space station. It looked more like a floating city, with spires and towers extending in all directions. Around it moved dozens of nocturne vessels of various sizes. "It's one of their bases," said Lieutenant Kim in awe. "We've found a nocturne home. Move us into that asteroid field," ordered June, pointing to a collection of rocks at the edge of the dust cloud. "We can hide there and observe." The Night Stalker slipped between the asteroids, finding a position that gave them a good view of the nocturne base while providing cover. For the next 12 hours, they watched and recorded everything they could about the alien stronghold. Dr. Sung made an important discovery while analyzing the nocturne communications. "Captain, they're not speaking as one group. I'm detecting at least 5 different communication patterns. I think they're different clans or factions. So they're not a unified empire," said June thoughtfully. "That could be important." Security Chief Du Young, who had been studying the base's defenses, pointed to a section of the structure. "Look there. Those smaller structures attached to the main base. The energy readings are different." Engineer Lee enhanced the image. "Those aren't nocturne designs. They look human." June's eyes narrowed as he realized what he was seeing. "Those are captured human habitats. They've taken prisoners." The crew fell silent as the implications sank in. The Nocturne hadn't just been attacking outposts. They had been taking humans captive. "Can you tell how many people might be in there?" asked June. Dr. Sung checked his readings. "Based on life sign readings, maybe 30 to 40 humans." Du Young turned to June. "Captain, we need to rescue them." June considered their options. The Night Stalker was a powerful ship, but they were deep in enemy territory facing dozens of Nocturne vessels. A direct attack would be suicide. "We need a plan," he said finally. "Not just to rescue the prisoners, but to send a message." Engineer Lee smiled slowly. "I might have an idea, Captain." 3 days later, the plan was ready. The Night Stalker had carefully mapped the patrol routes of the Nocturne ships and identified a gap in their security. Now was the time to act. "All hands to battle stations," ordered June. "Dark tactical mode." The ship's system shifted to combat readiness, but still maintained minimal emissions. Security Chief Du Young and his team prepared in the launch bay, checking their special stealth suits and weapons. "Remember," June told them over the comm, "your primary objective is to rescue the prisoners, but leave behind the devices Engineer Lee has prepared." "Understood, Captain," replied Du Young. We'll be quick and quiet. The rescue shuttle, painted with the same light-absorbing material as the Night Stalker, slipped away from the main ship. It moved silently through the dust cloud, approaching the Nocturne base from its least defended side. On the bridge, June and the others watched through the shuttle's cameras. Lieutenant Kim monitored Nocturne communications, ready to warn them if they were detected. The shuttle reached the human habitats attached to the main base. Du Young's team cut through the outer hull and entered. Inside, they found human prisoners, living in dark, cold conditions. Many looked sick and weak. Earth Defense Force, Du Young told the shocked prisoners. We're here to take you home. While most of his team helped the prisoners to the shuttle, Du Young and 2 others placed small devices around the habitat. These were Engineer Lee's creation, tiny transmitters designed to be undetectable to Nocturne sensors. Devices planted, reported Du Young. All prisoners secured, returning to ship. The shuttle raced back to the Night Stalker, carrying the freed humans. They made it back just as a Nocturne patrol ship turned toward their position. We've been spotted, warned Lieutenant Kim. They're alerting the base. Activate engines, ordered June. Get us out of here. Maximum speed. The Night Stalker burst from its hiding place, engines now at full power. Several Nocturne ships gave chase, but the human vessel was faster in open space. They cleared the dust cloud with the alien ships still in pursuit. Ready weapons, said June calmly. Target the lead vessel only. When the first Nocturne ship came within range, the Night Stalker fired a single shot from its main weapon. The beam struck with perfect accuracy, slicing through the alien vessel's hull. The Nocturne ship spun out of control, its systems failing. The other pursuers immediately pulled back, clearly surprised by the human ship's firepower. They're retreating, reported Lieutenant Kim. Returning to their base. Set course for Earth, ordered June. Full speed. As they left Nocturne space, June visited the rescued prisoners in the medical bay. They were thin and pale from their time in captivity, but their eyes showed relief and gratitude. You came for us, said one woman in disbelief. No one even knew where we were. We'll always come for our people, June assured her. Back on the bridge, Engineer Lee was smiling. The transmitters are working perfectly, Captain. The Nocturne won't be able to detect them, but they'll emit a signal on all frequencies for the next month. A signal that says what? Asked Lieutenant Kim. It says, humans were here, replied Lee. In their own language. June nodded with satisfaction. This rescue mission had accomplished 2 things. They had saved their people, and they had shown the Nocturne that humans could move undetected through their domain. The psychological impact would be significant. The tables have turned, he told, his crew as Earth appeared on their long-range sensors. They believed we feared the dark because we live in the light. Now they're learning that darkness has never stopped humanity. It's simply another environment we adapt to conquer. 1 year had passed since the first mission of the Night Stalker. What had begun as a single ship was now a fleet. 12 vessels, all designed to hunt in darkness, patrolled the space between stars. Humans called them the Shadow Fleet. Admiral June Park stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, the largest and newest ship in the fleet. It was 3 times the size of the Night Stalker, with better weapons and more advanced stealth systems. Status report, he asked his second-in-command. All ships in position, Admiral, replied Commander Min, a young officer who had proven herself in several battles against the Nocturne. The Shadow Dancer and the Night Hunter are moving into Sector 7 now. June nodded with satisfaction. The Shadow Dancer was commanded by Captain Hana Kim, formerly his lieutenant. Like many of his original team, she had been given her own ship as the fleet expanded. Any word from Captain Kim's mission? He asked. Not yet, sir. They're in deep, silent running. We expect contact in about 6 hours. Deep silent running was a new tactic. It meant a ship shut down everything except life support and drifted through space like a dead object. It was risky but nearly impossible for the Nocturne to detect. The past year had transformed the war. After the Night Stalker's successful mission, Earth Command had committed fully to June's strategy. Now, instead of defending outposts and colonies, human ships were actively hunting Nocturne vessels and bases. The psychological effect had been profound. The Nocturne, used to being the unseen hunters, now lived in fear of human ships appearing from nowhere. They had begun keeping their worlds constantly lit, burning valuable resources to push back the darkness they had once commanded. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command," reported the communications officer. "Admiral Sun wants to speak with you." "Put her through to my ready room," said June. In his private office, June activated the secure channel. The stern face of Admiral Sun appeared on the screen. She looked tired but satisfied. "Good news, Admiral Park," she said without preamble. "The attack on the Nocturne fuel refinery in the Orion sector was successful. Their capacity to power their fleet has been reduced by 20%. "Excellent," replied June. "That should limit their ability to maintain those light fields around their worlds." "Indeed. But I have more interesting news. Dr. Sung has made progress with the Nocturne prisoner." This caught June's attention. 3 months ago, they had captured a high-ranking Nocturne during a raid on one of their outposts. Dr. Sung had been working to communicate with it ever since. "What has he learned?" asked June. "The creature calls itself Kanthar. It claims to be an elder of one of their major clans. Dr. Sung has established basic communication and learned something fascinating about their culture." Admiral Sun sent a file to June's screen. It showed Dr. Sung sitting across from the Nocturne elder, a tall skeletal figure kept in a special chamber with dim lighting. "Play the recording," suggested Admiral Sun. June watched as Dr. Sung spoke to the alien in a series of clicks and low tones, the Nocturne language they had learned to imitate. The creature responded, its voice like stones grinding together. "It says their prophecies foretold our coming," translated Dr. Sung in the recording. "They have an ancient belief that beings of light would one day emerge from the brightness and threaten their existence." The Nocturne elder spoke again, longer this time. "But there's more," continued Dr. Sung. "The prophecy is ambiguous. It says these light beings would either destroy the Nocturne or elevate them to a higher existence. They've been interpreting our arrival as the first part, destruction, but some of their religious leaders believe it might be the second part instead." June stopped the recording, his mind racing with possibilities. "This changes things," he said to Admiral Sun. "They attacked us because of a religious belief. They thought we were coming to destroy them." "Exactly," said Admiral Sun, "which gives us a potential opening for diplomacy. But only if we negotiate from a position of strength." June nodded, understanding the strategy. "Continue applying pressure while opening a dialogue." "Precisely. Keep the Shadow Fleet on offensive operations. I want the Nocturne to understand that we can strike anywhere in their territory. But we'll also have Dr. Sung continue his work with Kanthar, exploring this prophecy angle." After the call ended, June returned to the bridge, thinking about this new information. The war had started because of a misunderstanding, the Nocturne attacking out of religious fear, humans responding in self-defense. Now they were locked in, a cycle of attacks and counterattacks, but perhaps there was another way. His thoughts were interrupted by an alert from the tactical station. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from the Shadow Dancer. Captain Kim has found something." "Put her through," ordered June. The face of Captain Hana Kim appeared on the main screen. She looked excited but controlled as always. "Admiral, we've discovered something significant," she reported. "While investigating a Nocturne religious site, we found artifacts that emit a specific frequency of radiation. It's invisible to human eyes but extremely bright to Nocturne senses." "What kind of artifacts?" asked June. "Ancient technology, sir, definitely not Nocturne-made. They appear to be remnants of an even older civilization." This was potentially valuable information. Engineer Lee, who now served as chief engineer on the Eclipse, moved closer to the screen. "Captain Kim, can you send us the frequency data?" he asked. "Already done, chief engineer, but there's more. We've found these artifacts at every Nocturne religious site we've investigated. They all emit the exact same frequency." June considered this new puzzle piece. "So these artifacts are important to Nocturne religion. And they weren't made by the Nocturne themselves." "That's our assessment, sir," confirmed Captain Kim. "And there's one more thing. We've detected the same frequency emitting from several unexplored star systems beyond Nocturne space. This revelation sent a ripple of excitement through the bridge crew. Could these artifacts be signposts, leading to whoever had created them? "Good work, Captain," said June. "Continue your investigation, but proceed with caution." After the transmission ended, Engineer Lee approached June with a thoughtful expression. "Admiral, I have a theory," he said. "What if these artifacts weren't just found by the Nocturne? What if they were deliberately placed for them to find?" "By whom?" asked June. "By whoever made them. What if this older civilization was guiding the evolution of the Nocturne somehow, perhaps even influencing their religious beliefs?" The idea was startling but not impossible. Many Earth religions had been shaped by unexplained phenomena or artifacts from more advanced civilizations. And if they influenced the Nocturne, continued June, following the thought, might they have influenced us as well? Before they could discuss this further, another alert sounded. Security Chief Du Young, now the commander of all ground operations, appeared on the screen. "Admiral, my team has discovered something critical on Nocturne Outpost Vale 9, he reported urgently. "The Nocturne are gathering a massive fleet. From what we can tell, every clan is contributing ships." "Where are they assembling?" asked June. "In the shadow of a rogue planet in the Andromeda sector. Our scans show over 300 vessels so far, and more arriving every day." This was troubling news. Such a large fleet could only mean one thing. The Nocturne were planning a major counterattack. "How long until they're ready to move?" asked June. "Based on their preparation rate, 2 weeks at most," replied Du Young. June made a quick decision. "Recall all Shadow Fleet vessels. We need to prepare a response." As the orders went out, June stood at the main viewport of the eclipse, looking out at the stars. The war had reached a critical point. The Nocturne were gathering their strength for what might be a decisive battle. At the same time, they had discovered hints of a greater mystery, artifacts left by an unknown civilization, possibly connected to both humans and Nocturne. "We didn't come to the stars to conquer," he said quietly to himself. "We came to explore and understand. The Nocturne fear us because they don't understand us." A plan began to form in his mind, one that might end the war not through destruction, but through a different kind of strength, the human capacity for adaptation and understanding. "Let's show them what humans really do when faced with the unknown," he decided. The war room of the Eclipse was quiet as Admiral June Park explained his plan. Around the table sat the commanders of the Shadow Fleet and his original team members. "The Nocturne are gathering their forces here," said June, pointing to a holographic map showing a rogue planet drifting in the darkness of the Andromeda sector. "Over 300 ships, the largest fleet they've ever assembled. Our intelligence suggests they plan to attack Earth directly," added Security Chief Du Young. "They believe if they strike our homeworld, we'll retreat from space altogether." Captain Hana Kim of the Shadow Dancer frowned. "We could position our fleet here," she suggested, indicating a point near the rogue planet. "Hit them before they can organize." "That's what they expect us to do," said June, "but I'm proposing something different." He touched a control, and the hologram changed, showing a new flight path for the Shadow Fleet. Instead of attacking from hiding, we approach openly. All ships visible, broadcasting on all Nocturne frequencies. This suggestion caused surprised murmurs around the table. For a year, they had operated in darkness, striking from shadow. To approach openly seemed like suicide. "You want us to give up our advantage?" asked one of the fleet captains. "No," replied June. "I want to use our greatest advantage, one the Nocturne don't understand." Dr. Taesung nodded slowly, beginning to see June's plan. "Our adaptability. Our ability to change strategies." "Exactly," said June. "The Nocturne attack in the same way. Every time. They follow patterns and rituals. Humans are different. We change. We evolve our tactics. That's what has allowed us to push them back. Not just our technology, but our thinking." Engineer J. Lee, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I've been studying the artifacts Captain Kim discovered. The radiation they emit seems to affect Nocturne brain activity. It might be a form of communication. Could we use that?" asked June. "I think so," said Lee. With Dr. Sung's help and what we've learned from Kanthar, I believe we can create a message that will resonate with their cultural values. June looked around the table. I'm not proposing surrender. I'm proposing we show strength in a way the Nocturne haven't considered. We approach as equals willing to talk, not as enemies hiding in shadow. After much discussion, the plan was approved. The Shadow Fleet would approach the Nocturne Armada directly, led by the Eclipse carrying representatives from Earth's nations alongside June's original team. 3 days later, the Eclipse dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Andromeda sector. Behind it came the rest of the Shadow Fleet, their engines glowing brightly, making no attempt to hide their approach. On the bridge, June stood calmly as they detected the massive Nocturne fleet ahead. Over 300 alien ships were gathered in the shadow of the rogue planet, a force that could potentially overwhelm even Earth's home defenses. Are we broadcasting? He asked. On all Nocturne frequencies, confirmed the communications officer. Using the translation matrix Dr. Sung developed with Kanthar, Dr. Sung stood beside June, monitoring the Nocturne communications. They're confused, he reported. The clan leaders are arguing about whether to attack immediately or wait to see what we're doing. Perfect, said June. Engineer Lee, are you ready with the demonstration? Lee nodded from his station. Ready, Admiral. Begin transmission. The main screen of the Eclipse came to life, projecting an enormous hologram into space visible to all the Nocturne ships. It showed images from human history. Early humans huddled around fires in dark caves, ancient sailors navigating by stars, explorers venturing into deep forests and underground caverns, and finally, astronauts stepping into the blackness of space. The message was clear. Humans had once feared darkness too, but had overcome that fear. They're watching, said Dr. Sung, surprise in his voice. All Nocturne ships have stopped moving. June took a deep breath. This was the crucial moment. Send the second message. Engineer Lee activated a special transmitter designed to mimic the frequency of the ancient artifacts found at Nocturne religious sites. It broadcast the message Dr. Sung had carefully crafted with Kanthar's help. We have both hunted in the dark. Now let us together find a new path. For a long, tense minute, there was no response. Then, a single Nocturne ship broke formation and moved toward the Eclipse. It was larger than the others, with markings that indicated it carried leaders of multiple clans. They're requesting communication, reported Dr. Sung, unable to hide his excitement. They want to talk. June nodded. Open a channel. 2 weeks later, a historic meeting took place on neutral territory, an abandoned space station orbiting a pulsar, where light and darkness alternated in perfect rhythm. Security Chief Du Young had designed the meeting protocols, ensuring both species felt secure despite their different environmental needs. The High Council of Nocturne clans, 7 tall skeletal figures with glowing eyes, sat across from the human delegation led by June. Captain Hana Kim, whose shadow dancer had discovered the ancient artifacts, presented the evidence that both humans and Nocturne had been influenced by the same ancient civilization. These artifacts appear throughout both our territories, she explained through the translation device. They emit radiation that affects Nocturne brain patterns and match frequencies found in certain human brain waves during sleep. We believe the same ancient species, whoever they were, interacted with both our peoples long ago. The Nocturne High Elder, a being called Vorteth, responded slowly. Our oldest stories tell of beings who came from beyond the stars, teaching us to navigate the darkness between worlds. We called them the Shapers. Our ancient cultures have similar legends, said June. Visitors who brought knowledge and then disappeared. We called them by many names, gods, angels, teachers. This shared history changed the tone of the negotiations. The conflict shifted from an existential war to a shared mystery about their origins. After 5 days of talks, the Treaty of Pulsar Station was signed. It established boundaries and cooperative zones. The Nocturne would remain masters of the shadow regions of space, while humans would continue to expand in regions with more starlight. But they would also learn from each other. Our engineers can help you develop shielding technology, offered June. So your people can visit worlds with more light without pain, and our sensory experts can teach your kind to better navigate and utilize the darkness between stars, replied Vorteth. As a gesture of good faith, the Nocturne revealed the location of several advanced artifacts their priests had kept hidden for generations. In exchange, humanity offered medical knowledge that could help the Nocturne adapt to environments beyond their homeworlds. 5 years after the first contact at Helios 9 mining outpost, a special ship called the Equilibrium prepared to leave Pulsar Station. It was designed to accommodate both humans and Nocturne, with sections adjusted for the needs of each species. Admiral June Park, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Nocturne Confederation, watched the ship prepare for departure. Beside him stood his original team and several Nocturne dignitaries, including Canthar, who had chosen to become an ambassador to Earth. The Equilibrium's mission was ambitious: to follow the trail of artifacts to their source, perhaps to find the architects who had influenced both civilizations. They thought we feared the dark, June said quietly to his old friend Dr. Sung, who stood beside him. We showed them we could hunt there. But in the end, our greatest strength wasn't our ability to fight. It was our ability to adapt and understand. Canthar's translator conveyed his response. And perhaps that is why the Shapers chose both our peoples. Alone, we master different domains. Together, we may master the cosmos itself. As the Equilibrium engaged its drives and vanished into the darkness between stars, June couldn't help but smile. Humanity had faced the unknown and emerged stronger, not by conquering it, but by understanding it, as they always had throughout their long journey from Earth to the stars. The darkness had never been their enemy. It had simply been another frontier to explore, another challenge to overcome. And now, with new allies who truly understood the value of shadows, humanity's journey into the unknown could continue with even greater promise. The beings who had once hunted each other in the dark would now hunt for knowledge together, illuminating the mysteries of the universe with their combined strengths. The end.